Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Ledger. I am Cage, and listen, Chair was supposed to be here, but he had prior engagements, which is okay, because guess what? We got a lot of news to talk about. I ain't gonna let nothing stop me from talking about the important things happening in the nerd world, okay? So, cause there's a couple things, really. Um, there's the Doomsday stuff, right? Doomsday trailer, which we can break down all that stuff that happened in there. We can maybe even watch it. Maybe we could watch it. It's hard because some people do listen to the audio version, and so but we'll break that down. We'll break it down. And then the other like big thing that's kind of been making some rounds is Andy Serkis, who plays Gollum and is directing The Hunt for Gollum and has directed some other movies as well. He had some things to say, and he's getting a lot of backlash for it. So I'll share those things that he said and some opinions I have. But really, he was asked about the lack of inclusion, the lack of diversity in the Lord of the Rings, and as everyone is familiar with, if you know Lord of the Rings or are familiar with the Rings of Power, the opposite effect kind of happened there, where they hired with a lot of diversity. They cast people of different backgrounds, colors, genders, etc., and that created a lot of backlash and people coming out of the woodwork saying this isn't what Tolkien was about and blah 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 and this and this and this. And Andy Serkis has almost kind of said the same thing. Anyway, so really what he said is he said that Tolkien, I'll read his quotes. Okay, this is Andy Serkis. He said, Tolkien himself was influenced a lot by Norse mythology. There's a lot of that feeling. The Shire feels very, very much like a very, very white, they're not very concerned about what goes on beyond the borders of the Shire, but they know they don't want people coming in. Yes, there have been criticisms. This particular film is somewhat acknowledging that, but I don't think we will be doing a politically correct just casting for the sake of casting and ticking boxes version of the film, so it's where relevant, basically. And that's really all he had to say. But I do think some of the language is a bit problematic, right? Like, you're kind of just first of all, it's not really a necessary statement. Like, people will notice a lack of diversity and criticize you no matter what. I don't necessarily think you need to address it, but obviously the backlash to this is going to be, well, that's not in the spirit of Tolkien, and people can talk this or that, and how white the Lord of the Rings films were, and but the thing is, like, if you don't draw a lot of attention to it, you don't address it, then most people don't care that much. Like, people do care. People do go crazy when you start adding diversity to things, and there's an argument for the spirit of what Andy Serkis is saying, but the way he says it is purely wrong, and bits of it can be inflammatory, right? When you say, like, checking boxes and this and that. And, like, the reality is there are people in the past, because of things like this, that have gotten jobs or have been chosen to do those things, right? Because that exists in our world, where you have to check certain boxes because of regulations or other things to say we gave all these people opportunities and this and that. But then that leads to this idea that the only reason anybody other than white males get jobs or get selected for anything is because of that stuff. And that's simply not true. There's nuance to all of this, right? Because even people who aren't white males, they don't want to be picked just because, like, again, you're calling attention to something that's like, if I'm interviewing for something, or if I'm, an actor in this case trying to be cast for something, I want to be cast because I'm the best pick for the role, not just because I look, I check a box, right? So it's insulting to hire somebody to check a box, but it's also insulting to say we're not going to hire someone just to check a box, right? Like, both sides of this are kind of wrong in a lot of ways. And so, like, for me, it's like, it's pretty simple. You hire the person who's best for the job, and you don't need to call attention to all this other shit, right? Like, I get it. If you cast a woman to be a dwarf, people are gonna lose their minds. If you cast a black guy to be an elf, people are gonna lose their minds. And it's like, at the end of the day, if the product is good, it shouldn't matter. And that's true of all of it, right? So I think Andy Serkis has unnecessarily drawn attention to all this casting stuff because he addressed it, and I don't think you needed to address it. I don't think it, you're going to receive much more backlash for addressing it and than you would have if you would have never addressed it. And again, there could be an argument for, well, good for him for sticking up for this or that or whatever. And it's like, to me, it's just not necessary. So I don't know. Whatever. But yeah, that's what Andy Serkis had to say. So what do you guys think? Share your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, I kind of just feel like, it's pretty unnecessary to address in the first place. Then we also had as a Doomsday trailer. So this was, it's not super surprising that it dropped along with ticket sales, but it is a little bit because Comic-Con is this weekend, and you'd expect kind of it to drop along with Comic-Con, but it dropped early. And so we got the full trailer, and there are people very underwhelmed by it. There are people saying this and that. I quite like the trailer. There's massive criticisms about random shit like the look of Mystique. I don't think it looks that bad. I'm tired of Mystique as a character. I think, I don't really care about that character at all. I don't think the look is that awful, to be honest. Like, it looks so much better in like 2000, guys. It doesn't look that much different, to be honest. It's a different shade, a different hairstyle, whatever. But yeah, the Mystique looks different. Cool. There's theories and abound about what this movie's about, and is Captain America really Captain Hydra and blah blah blah. And really, I don't care about any of that shit. Like, I'm gonna go see the movie when it comes out and learn what I need to learn. Like, it's really hard to believe that they're gonna do a strictly like comic accurate story because they never really do, which is fine. And if they were going to, it's a lot of heavy lifting that they have to like pick up now because they haven't introduced certain elements that people would say, well, you need this if you're going to tell this story. The reality is you don't. And what I'm referring to there is like the Beyonders, right? Like, if you're going to follow that story and introduce these characters that grant Doom all this power to create Battle World and all this stuff with Secret Wars, then you kind of need to like introduce them. But they could use Celestials, they could change all of that, they can explain it through Doom's own background and his level of intelligence and sorcery and how he gains all this power. They could do it any number of ways. So, I disregard a lot of that stuff. But they certainly could do the Beyonders. That could be cool. But yeah, the first thing you kind of notice or don't notice, like, there's a, voiceover at the beginning of the trailer and you kind of don't recognize the voice. And it is Dr. Doom's voice. And so Robert Downey Jr. is doing an accent, which I think is good. Because when he was cast as Dr. Doom, I was skeptical. Because for me, it seems desperate. It seems like we're going downhill a little bit with the MCU. Like, people are not enjoying it as much. And you have a lot of backlash. Thinking projects aren't, box office flops abound and all this stuff. Um, and so it felt desperate. And then Captain America coming back, I'm not sure how much I'm on board with that until I see what they do. Right, both of these things could work, but when they announced Robert Downey Jr. coming back, my initial instinct was the only way it works is if he sounds different and if they never take his mask off. Now, the second one, I still don't believe will actually happen. The voice being different gave me a little hope. But in reality, are they actually going to never show his face? Like, you don't bring Robert Downey Jr. back and don't show his face. But, again, like, the fact that he looks like Tony Stark is probably going to be a big deal in this story. We're told, right, which could be lies, but we're told that he's not a variant and all this stuff. And Kevin Feige actually did this whole interview that I actually want to bring up some quotes from in a second. But yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that they just don't show his face. But you never know. Like, I'm pretty sure that they're just gonna have to, because I clicked the wrong thing there. Because why would you bring him back if you weren't planning to show his face? So, anyway, the trailer's pretty cool. You got all these different people, all these different teams, and we even have we see how powerful Doom is. The poster shows what we're assuming are Doom's wife and child, who are probably dead. So we have all that. Thor's real worried. He's got his B team now because what the fuck happened to the A team? Captain America's fully back. I don't care that people think he's Captain Hydra. I think that's, bollocks. That's what I think it is. But Captain America's back. So it's, big doings, lots of cool action. The plot, who knows what the plot is going to be. People all have all these ideas about, it's not actually Doom. Who's the villain? He's going to help them try to stop incursions or this or that. And, really what we're doing is we're building for Secret Wars. And Secret Wars is all about incursions, which are two universes, the barriers between the universes essentially dissipating, and the universes collide, and everybody, and they're all destroyed, everything is dead, blah 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 blah. And in the comics, Doctor Doom gets this power from the Beyonders and takes bits and pieces from many universes and builds a new world, and he is God. He is God Doom. And so I doubt some of that'll happen, but there will be a battle world. I'm sure it'll be it'll be mostly like Secret Wars. But what happens after that is pretty big news and stuff that if you're familiar with comics, you kind of understand or anticipate. But beyond all that, yeah. So I mean, I quite enjoyed the trailer. I know a lot of people aren't super hyped up about it, but whatever. Anyway, so Kevin Feige did an interview, and he's been teasing some stuff. He talks about plans for the next 7 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He said it's traditionally a 5-year plan. I think that it goes to 2032 right now. Though it hasn't been quite 7 years since he last did this, it's still rare that Feige gives an interview of this length in candor, but after some ice-breaking small talk in which Marvel's chief creative officer shared his thoughts on DC Studios' Superman. More on that in a bit. Feige made clear why he's spending the Friday before the premiere of the Fantastic Four First Steps. Wait, this is an old interview? What the hell? Bro, this is a year old. This is not the interview I'm looking for. It said Miles, so I thought it was the interview I was looking for. That's not the interview I'm looking for. Go away. These are all last year. Yeah, I saw this. So he did talk about Blade. He said he feels like a gigantic loser. That the reboot hasn't picked up. Yeah, he also talked about how many interviews do they how many clips do they need to post from an interview? Um, he okay. Anyway, so he also talked about Adam Driver, because it was asked like, "Are you looking at him for someone in the X-Men?" Because there's rumors that he's playing Magneto, and then there's rumors that he's playing Mr. Sinister, and all these fucking rumors. Oh, I fucking hate rumors. And he pretty much said it's like a tradition now where he'll call Adam Driver every year and offer him a role and get turned down. He also talked about Miles Morales. He said, pretty much eventually, eventually, it's gonna be Miles. So what does that mean, right? Like with deals with Sony and this and that. I guess we'll have to see. But he's pretty stoked on the future for Spider-Man. He also said they have plans for the MCU through like 2042. And the other thing he said, and again, I can't find the actual interview, but he said something to the effect of like, after Secret Wars, it's going to be pretty mainstream MCU. It's going to be one timeline, easier to follow, one storyline, which means that the multiverse stuff is ending. And again, if you're familiar with comics, you're not super surprised, because, Jesus, after Secret War, the last Secret Wars, the 2015 one, pretty much the Ultimate Universe and our mainline universe became one universe and kind of went on from there. And that's what brought Miles into it and whatever else. And we got new Avengers teams that were, at the time, I thought pretty exciting, but people were not happy about. But we had like an Avengers team with like Vision, Kamala Khan's Miss Marvel. We had Jane Foster's Thor. We had Miles Morales' Spider-Man. We had Sam Alexander's Nova. Like, we had a pretty cool teams and different things going on. But yeah, I think the end of this, right? There's two ways you could think about it, but there's really a bunch of possibilities, right? But like, one way is like all this stuff from the past 15-ish years, right? 15, 17 years, whatever. All of that is going to end, right? We're going to start fresh. We're going to reboot essentially the MCU and kind of pick up and move forward. The other line of thinking is, well, we're going to bring everything together. We can keep characters we want. We can recast. We can do whatever we want. Here's the new thing, right? So, like, I'm pretty sure in Doomsday and Secret Wars, all the Fox people are going to just die and be gone and all, whatever. Like, there are going to be people from the current MCU that make it through, right? And there are going to be people that don't, which, again, it shouldn't come as any kind of surprise to anybody. The other thing about the trailer is some notable absences. And we could talk about what that means, right? We don't see Elizabeth Olsen or Benedict Cumberbatch, so no Scarlet Witch or Doctor Strange in the trailer. But we also have other absences. No Spider-Man, which we're getting a brand new day next week, so maybe more will be revealed then. No Hulk, no Hawkeye, which not surprising. I don't think Jeremy Renner's coming back. No Nick Fury or Rhodey. I mean, Secret Invasion was a complete failure, so who knows anything about that. No Captain Carter, which is not surprising to me. But apparently that's notable to somebody. Don't know anything about all the Asgardian people other than Thor, right? We don't know about Valkyrie, Korg, Meek, Lady Sif. We don't know anything about any of them. Hercules was the post-credit scene of Love and Thunder. Don't know about that. Guardians of the Galaxy, all missing. The Marvels are not there. The Young Avengers are not there. No one from any of the Disney Plus shows are there. Scott Lang's there, but nobody else from his movies. And no Eternals. Honestly, no big surprises that there's exclusions there. But look, there could be questions asked about certain other characters that, while they might not be in Secret and Doomsday, they could be in Secret Wars, right? But there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of history here, there's a lot of things to try to balance and bring together. So it's really one of those it there are going to be exclusions, um, but I'm sure they'll touch on some of that. But yeah, really, I've been inundated with rumors and things, but I don't pay attention to rumors. I don't really like spoilers in any way. I don't like going in with any sort of expectation at all because to me expectation is the is the bearer of disappointment. I think I just go in with an open mind, not knowing what I'm going to see, and I will be happy to see what I do see. Um, because the thing is, I think Captain Hydra would be a terrible idea for the movie, and I don't want to see it. But if I do see it, then I see it. But I don't want to go on thinking they're gonna do this stupid Captain Hydra thing and blah blah blah, right? Um, and so yeah, the costume, by the way, the Doom suit looks fucking cool as shit. I'm a big fan of Doctor Doom and his look, and I think the movie's gonna be cool as fuck. I really hope they don't show his face still, though. I know they're going to, but I really hope that they don't. Um, and there's that's the thing. On the opposite end, there's probably a bunch of people who do, right? Who there are gonna be people who are like, if they don't show his face, we're gonna be genuinely upset about that. So yeah, this is the nature of fandom, right? Um, also, the thing with theories and all this and rumors and everything, like, for me, you have to understand that, like, we think we know all the possibilities, but we don't. And so we like to, as nerds or as whatever, like, when we talk to other nerds or we're trying to figure this stuff out, we like to kind of put ourselves in boxes, right? Or in corners where we go, oh, well, they showed this, which can only mean this. Or it can only mean this or this. And because those are the only things we can think of, then that's what we expect. But it could literally be anything, right? Like, the possibilities are more than what we can imagine in our minds. So I don't know. I'm excited. I got tickets. I'm going in December, and yeah, I up until then, I'm not super interested in other trailers beyond this and plot points and characters and whatever. Like, I'm just happy to go see the movie at this point. Like, this is stuff that, like, years ago, I would have been all over. Not the rumors part, but, like, 10 years ago, I would have been diving in and trying to find out as much as I can and talking to other people and being like, what is it going to be about? And, let me do this and this and, try to. But, like, now, I just want to enjoy things, I just want to enjoy it. I don't want to, like, create all this expectation or like, I don't get a lot of joy from debating or, like, trying to piece together a story before it comes out. Like, when it comes out, I'll go see it and I'll form an opinion then. Like, forming opinions on trailers, a lot of times it's not what you expect. Sometimes they're trying to purposely mislead you. Sometimes they fully load up trailers. Sometimes trailers are dog shit and the movie's great, and sometimes the movie's great and the trailer's dog shit. Like, this is all possible. So yeah, we'll see what happens. On the horizon, guys, things I still have to talk about. Supergirl. I need to talk about Supergirl. I haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender season 2 on Netflix yet. I know there's an animated Avatar movie coming out very, very soon. I haven't watched any of X-Men 97 yet, so I still need to watch that. There are so many things I need to catch up on and talk about. When Cher is back, we will talk about Spider Noir. There's just so much. There's so much. I know there's more beyond that that I'm just not thinking about. But yeah, I also haven't watched. So, like, last year, I think it was, I watched all, like, the Alien and Predator movies, and then but I didn't watch the newest Alien movie because I couldn't find it anywhere. But now I know where it is, so I can watch it. And Alien Earth, the TV show. There are just so many things to watch. I have to catch up. I have to catch up on everything. But anyway, I'm tired of talking, so we'll see you next time. Much love. Click all the buttons, like, rate, review, comment, do the things. Bye.